All right, guys, we're here. We're back. Pit Chatter Podcast, episode 27, live recording from the Hex Haunted Attractions Tower here, located above the start-finish line here at Franklin County Speedway. I'm your host, Langley Austin, also the promoter here at Franklin County Speedway. Got Noah Hinchee here by my side. Been the co-host most of the year here. Appreciate you being here with me every week, man. It's been this podcast. I get more and more chatter about this thing at the races every week.
Yeah, I get a lot of people coming up to me telling me they've been listening and they want to hear from this person or that person, and that people think I got juice. They keep telling me who to get on, and I'm like, I just show up and see who's here.
I don't know. You suggest people to come on too. So I mean, it's all done together there. But one of the things that I've heard, talking to people about the podcast is, man, I know I can't do nothing stupid. These guys are going to throw us under the bus, and I don't feel like we've thrown anybody under the bus, but we definitely tell it like it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't say throw them under the bus.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But I mean, if you making some bonehead moves or being a doofus, we're gonna call it out.
Well, we had some bonehead doofus stuff going on this past weekend, I think.
Yeah, lots of it
on both sides of the fence.
Some of it more doofusy than others, if that's even a word.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a word or not.
It is now.
That's a Noah word for sure.
Yep, more doofusy.
We'll make that a Noah-ism.
Yep. Can I get a shirt?
Yeah.
Since Race 22 is making all these shirts.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've been having fun with that, man.
Yeah, I bet I can see that.
I mean, sold a few, here and there. Had fun with it. Got a cease and desist letter from Cookout. So
I was wondering. I texted you mid-race the other day, and I was like, "What is that?"
It's been a fun time, man. It's been a fun time. I mean, I didn't really care about their cease and desist. I mean, it is what it is.
Hey, that must mean your shirt's doing good if even Cookout saw it.
Yeah, well, they're highly involved in racing, so I think that's that's part of it, and I don't know. I think it's all good though, man. It was fun. A few people got those took out shirts, hats, decals already, and good time.
Oh well.
Had a fun one yesterday. Late model stock car racing, kind of played off the Z-Max Cars Tour thing, and it was a demolition derby. Man, their races I don't know if they get better or worse every week, kind of the both. Have you seen this week's race? I know you don't always catch it.
I have not seen this week's race.
Well,
I wait for the replays to hit my Facebook.
Well, Connor Hall got taken out coming to the checkered flag after he pretty cleanly passed Ryan Millington, for the lead. Ryan had dominated the race, though, so I'm sure there's some frustration there. And Ryan said in his interview, if I wasn't going to win, he wasn't going to win. I wasn't letting him win.
That's a good tactic to have.
Yeah.
It's destructive, but...
Yeah, Ronnie Bassett Jr. got his first win in the car store, an old UARA guy from back in my day of, traveling around with them. So, fun time. Looked like a great race there at Hickory. Great crowd down there. Man, we had some great racing of our own here at Franklin County Speedway, though.
I think that's why Car Tour is getting so much fun. They're listening to the Pit Chatter podcast.
Listen, obviously the racers, and I say this every week, and I'm going to say it until the end of time, obviously their racers watch the Stock 4 races here.
They have to.
Because, man, they race just like them.
And they get mad. They're like, we can't let these dudes in these junkyard cars show us up every week. Yeah. We got to start putting on shows.
100%, man, 100%. I think that's part of it. Car Store's been fun. Stock 4's been fun. Another fun night. We'll kind of lead in with the Stock 4s here. Another fun night of Stock 4 racing here. Gary Smith falling into a win. I mean, an old saying that a racer told me a long time ago, I'd rather be lucky than good any day. And Gary's car, I don't know if you could tell, but, man, that thing was all over the dang racetrack. I mean, he'd go in the corner. He was loose in, and he was super tight off.
Well, I couldn't tell because, frankly, I wasn't even looking at him until the last 2 laps or whatever when he somehow snuck his way up there in the first.
I told his dad yesterday or the day before, one or the other, through text message. I told him, I said, that's when a driver is coming into their own when they take a car that isn't very good, they use what isn't very good about it to their advantage. I mean, he blocked everybody going into corners by being – he looked like Chris Meeks out there. He was so sideways getting into the corners. So he had everybody blocked up, Wes, Jaden, I mean, all of them, man. He had them all blocked up behind him. They couldn't do anything. And, then once Chad Asbury and Wes Givens decided to do their best Ethan Troll, Chris Lilly impressions on restarts and got themselves both sent to the back.
They didn't want to wait. They figured, let's get this road on the show and let's get her going.
Get this road on the show. That's a Buck Wild reference there. That's a good one.
They started going halfway down the backstretch, it looked like.
They definitely, at least by the scoreboard over here in turns 3 and 4, they were on it and ready to go.
Whoever was in last place was definitely still on the backstretch
100%.
when they were going.
100%, man. Those restarts were atrocious. I'm on the microphone up here up top. I'm just laughing because I'm like, all right, and they had done, they made me look bad anyways. I'm like, all right, we're getting ready to come to the cone. There's no way in the world Chad's going to the outside, so we'll have Chad Asbury on the inside and Wes on the outside. And about that time, Chad goes to the outside. I'm like, well, made me look like a liar. This is going to be interesting, and it was.
I didn't like his decision to take the outside, but
I think when you're racing Wes Givens, I think it's best if you do not give him the outside. It's kind of like back in the day, and a lot of people won't even know this reference. I know you won't, but the people who do will get it 100%. At Motor Mile Speedway, Tommy Lemons was the outside king. If you gave him the outside on a restart at any point during the race, your night was over with. Because he was about to drive off into the sunset, and the race was over. Yeah. And that's kind of the way Wes is on the outside. I don't even like when I see him line up to the outside to start the race, because he's probably going to gain 42 positions in one turn.
Yeah, well, he also likes to, when there's cars in front of him, obviously he's one of the best at navigating the traffic.
Oh, 100%.
And he's not afraid to throw it up into the marbles up there at the top of the track, so he'll sling it in there. But yeah, it's kind of a pick your poison, because if you let him get on the inside, he likes to do his little trick, and I don't know if anybody, fans-wise, have noticed this.
Probably not.
I haven't said it before, I don't think. What he does is when he's on the inside, he likes to push. He'll literally hit you in your door.
Yeah, well, he likes to arc the corner.
He pushes that outside car up, so that when the green comes out or when he goes, he shoots back down the track and gets a little run from the banking.
Yep.
And so it's either you give him the outside where he's faster, or you give him the inside where he's going to mess with you like that.
Yep. And
he's going to sling down the track and take it anyway.
Well, either way, he's probably going to take advantage of you. But I'm telling you now, I'm not giving him the outside. Unless I've made it, and I would, and others should. Unless I've made up my mind that when we get to turn 1, I'm going as far up the track to take him toward the wall as I can, I ain't giving him the outside.
Yeah. Well, that's a message to all Stock 4 drivers. And if he's on your inside, don't let him push you up.
Yeah, push down.
You door him back.
Yep.
Who cares about your fancy new stickers you got on the car? It's a race 100%. Car. You scrape them things off.
So with that, Gary gets the lead. He's sideways as can be through the corners. Can't anybody pass him. Josh Hinchee comes home.
Did we even say that they both got black flag?
Yeah. I said they both got sent to the rear. Yeah. So then, Josh Hinchee finishes second. Josh Brown got a good third-place finish this week. Heather Fackler finished fourth in that race. Wes Givens, trying to remember what happened to him. I don't know if he cut a tie. I can't remember what it was.
Something happened. He was going into 2. I remember he just came up the track, stopped, and then he just went in. Yep,
he finished 5th. Jaden Austin 6th. Chad Asbury pulled off the track, mad as can be. Didn't really understand. Later on, I think he kind of got the understanding of you can't restart until it's green over here. But whatever. Keyshawn Clater popped a radiator, and he finished 8th. James Chrisley was 9th. Ryan Weed had actually finished. I believe he finished 5th, but got disqualified for picking the wrong line on the final restart. Well, not picking the wrong line. He picked the line that he wanted, and then he changed lines.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. So wasn't time to get him black flagged to get him, to the pits and whatever. Trying to think. Second Stock 4 race, not nearly as entertaining from a chaos standpoint, I guess. Yeah. But man, still a good race. Wes Givens got out front pretty early and looked like he was going to be the car to beat, and ended up getting the win. But man, Chad Asbury just about got him here at the line.
Yeah, he did. And sorry to Jaden. I may have.
That was funny. Okay, we'll go through that. Okay, so we're getting ready for the start of the race. They're getting ready to go green. Okay, Jaden has lined up on the outside, and I don't even know if anybody knew that he was in the 48 car. He's in
our car.
Yep. So he's lined up on the outside of the front row, and they're getting ready to go green. And Big Mouth Noah over here, he comes across the microphone and says, "Hey, I got breaking news. Jaden Austin is out there in the 48 car." Well, I knew what was going to happen then. I said the first thing I said to myself, well, I guess he's going to the back. And they heard him up here in the tower because, we got this little radio up here. We can actually hear what's said on the microphone. So
I would like to defer to Timmy Meadows on that one.
Well,
he said, "Hey, Jaden's in the 48 car."
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, Jaden's in the 48 car." And he was like, "Why'd you say that?" And I was like, "You didn't tell me it was a secret."
Well. They'll figure it out eventually. Don't tell Noah anything, okay? Anything you don't want known on the microphone, don't tell Noah.
I really did Jaden a favor, okay? Because we saw it in the rookie race. If he went out there and won the race and they were like, "That's not Josh," he would have probably been DQ'd.
Actually, no, you can't go back. You can't. Penalties of that nature cannot be done in hindsight. So, not of that nature. There's other instances that could be. I mean, now you're talking about the rookie. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Which, they already knew. They knew ahead of time.
I didn't know
what they were doing.
I was like, "Where'd that car go?"
Gary Smith got a third-place finish, scored the most points on the weekend, closing in on the points lead. Keyshawn Clater having another weekend where he didn't do too good points-wise. He ended up finishing fifth in that race and eighth in the other, probably his worst weekend of the year. He's been consistently, top 3 or 4 guy every race, and this was probably his worst effort.
Well, the first race, I think he let his emotions get the best of him.
Yeah.
He was trying to get at the 48, old Josh, and unfortunately used his radiator instead of his bumper.
Yeah.
Mash that thing in.
Wasn't the smartest decision he ever made.
I could tell he apparently was trying to get him on the back stretch.
Yeah.
Because I knew they were nose to tail, and I was like, all right, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen here.
Right.
Every time Keyshawn came around, his hood was scrunched up just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then finally I saw him pulling in, and that thing looked like a mountain.
Yeah.
It was just bowed up. And
he's, that was a new car when the season started. He's definitely used that thing up pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say he has.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, so good. Not a good night for Keyshawn there, points wise. Good night for Gary. Not as good a night for Wes either. With the 5th place finish in the first race and the win in the second, but he held his ground there. Going to be interesting. The playoffs start August 24th, so we got one more race before the playoffs start.
Last chance for anybody that ain't won.
Yeah, anybody that hasn't won and doesn't have enough points to get in. This is your opportunity come the Buster Carroll Memorial race. So, and I want to make sure, because I felt like we didn't do as good a job as we should have Saturday night talking about the Jeremy Dailey Memorial Stock 4 races. They paid a little extra money. Nathan Wheat from Roanoke Homes and Renovations put up a little extra money for these guys in the Stock 4s. And, I wanted to be sure to give a shout out of sorts, about the Jeremy Dailey Memorial races. They'll get special trophies from this race, with Jeremy Dailey's name on them and stuff from this past weekend, with Gary and Wes taking home those in the Stock 4 race. But I didn't feel like we did as good a job as we should have. There was a lot going on that night, I take responsibility. I didn't do as good a job as I should have. So
there was just so much going on.
And it was chaotic for sure.
And it's a good thing, ain't a bad thing, but
yeah, for
there
sure.
was just so much.
Stock 4s of sort, the rookies. We brought back the rookie race this race to see, some of these guys, don't get a chance to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Heather Fackler had a fantastic run, finished second. That William Daughtery run his first race. finished third.
Led almost every lap up until the very end, too. I thought he was going to get it done, but...
Kevin Nicely, who's like 14, 15, 16 years old, had a good
was
run
in the bike races like 2 races ago, and now he's out here in a real car, beating and banging with people.
I think he decided to give Junior a chance to win some races or something, because Junior couldn't win when he's out there.
He was a couple weeks ago before the bike race. He was bragging to me about. He was like, "I got a car. I've come down here and practiced it," and I was like, "Hey, buddy, don't you think that?" When you got a real car and you're about to enter in real races, maybe you should retire from the bike races.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I guess you have a point.
Well, my son, Junior, he was very happy that Kevin Nicely wasn't racing.
Yeah.
In the bike
Kevin
race.
was his Wes.
Kevin Nicely was the Wes Givens of bike racing.
He said, finally, this guy's gone.
100%. Ryan Wheat taking home the victory in the rookie race. That there was some, questions about eligibility for some different drivers. And Ryan asked me, he said, so am I eligible? And, I'm trying to rack through my mind. I think he did win a U-Car race, but that was in a time here when there really wasn't many people racing. And I'm not diminishing his win by any stretch, but, I couldn't really hold that against him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he hasn't run, at least in the Stock 4 stuff,
not
since I've been here, which has been 3 years now. So.
Right. So he took home the win, which was cool. And that's a car that I actually had owned a couple of years ago. So that was cool to see him get the win in that thing.
The old purple people eater.
Yep, the 777 car. Scott Foley was out there in the rookie race.
Yeah.
If you look at the results, his disqualification is based on experience. Oh my Lord. And I mean that's legit, I guess, what it was. But he was out there in the car that Austin Williams had been driving. Austin wasn't here this past weekend, so he was out there. He just wanted to get some laps. He wanted to try out the Stock 4, and I guess he didn't like it enough because he didn't go run the Stock 4 races.
This isn't the first time he's done that either.
Yeah.
I remember him driving Austin's Prelude in the Divas race. Didn't tell nobody, and he's out there running around, and I was like, Austin, who was in your car? He's like, Scott Foley. I was like, he must have transitioned recently, because I don't know about that one.
He must have got disqualified from that one for an illegal shaft.
Yeah. He failed that post-race inspection.
Jeez. Lord have mercy. I don't want to hold this for later on, so I'll go ahead and get it out of the way. Man, that was the most pathetic version of an IndyCar race I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Absolute, complete and total garbage, okay?
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
And I don't want to take away from that Christian Norris. He run his first race, in that 70 car. That was the first race he'd ever run. I don't want to take anything away from that, but just having 3 cars, it was just – I should have pulled the plug on it during the week when I knew, a couple of groups of people that have multiple cars wasn't coming. But I'd been talking to some people, and I was hoping, we'd end up with, 8, 9, 10, 11 cars. But that wasn't the case for sure. Of course, Wes Givens, boo-hoo, whatever, took home the win,
Maybe I should post a video of my post-race interview with him.
Yeah.
Because that was my most favorite one by far.
Yeah, why is that?
Because I told Wes, I said, hey, I'm going to be mean to you. And I don't think he understood what I meant.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, you won again. Congratulations. And he was like, yeah, I'd like to thank you. I was like, all right, that was Wes Givens, everybody. I don't think he thought I was just going to cut him off and walk away.
You got to love it. Anyways, that Christian Norris did finish second, so.
He was excited about that, too.
I am sure he was, and good for him. You know what I mean? Good for him. I like seeing new people get out in anything. It doesn't matter what it is. I like to see new people out on the racetrack. Maybe he'll, get him a Stock 4 and, come and go racing, or maybe he'll be in the next IndyCar race, and there'll be a full field, I hope, maybe. You never know. I believe there will be. I believe the Boozes will all be back this next race, and I think Robbie Young's going to be out in the next couple of races, and I think the IndyCar is going to get its legs under it here soon. So
yeah, I hope so.
I guess the next one we'll talk about the Manita Tractor and Trailer Legends car division, and if you watch the race, you might think to yourself, well, nothing really happened in that race, but It's all the little things. It's the nuances of what happens out there that sometimes kind of take over. Of course, we had, restart things again. Not too bad this time. They were under control this time, but Ethan Troll got a little jump on them, that one time, which is, listen, I have said on here before, and I'll say it again, and I can't think they've taken it to heart. I would jump every restart until I got, they got onto me.
Yeah.
I mean, because you never know. I mean, nearly every Martinsville late model stock car race is won on a final race restart jump.
Yeah.
And that's because they don't call them.
Well,
I'm taking my chances every time, man.
Especially if you get a warning.
100%. Now, once I get the warning, I'm going to, mind my P's and Q's and roll on here. You know what I mean? Chris Lilly ended up taking his dad's car, the 37 car, who the car had never been to victory lane before. They got it working pretty good in practice. He took it, he won the race with it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't without a heck of a battle from Ethan. Ethan, I guess, they got to battling. Ethan got to lead. Incredible run by both of those guys. Those guys are right now the Wes Givens of the Legends car division, because those two guys are dang near impossible to beat.
Look, and I know people were upset, about car counts in the past and stuff.
Yeah.
Look, I could care less. If it's just them two cars,
right,
they're going to battle every single lap like they always do.
Well, the great thing was this week there wasn't a car count problem in the Legends car
there was
division.
A ton of cars.
We had 11 cars. Great field. Looked like earlier in the year. Really appreciate the guys who came out this weekend to run in that. One of the guys, we talked about it a little bit, very little on the last podcast, but Keyshawn Clater, got to test the car last time, and this time he got to race. Man, he put in a heck of an effort.
Yeah, he did.
Got him a third place finish on the racetrack. Unfortunately, they never thought to check the weight of the car from where Wes had drove it before. Got disqualified in tech, so he didn't get to keep his third place finish.
Ouch.
Nathan Wheat, who owns his car, ended up with the third place finish. Austin Sams fourth. Wes Givens coming home fifth. Mike McMall was back out here, his first race of the year. He run with us last year and the year before in the Legends. Glad to see him back out here. Danny Lilly, Chris's dad, run the race in his car. He said that Chris only told him, he said, just don't wreck my car.
I can understand that.
Yep, for sure. So, I don't know all the details of this, so I'm kind of talking, off the cuff here. But the lights went out during the Legends car race, and yes, I paid the bill. Okay, that wasn't a problem. There was some sort of power outage over toward Ferrum. I believe over towards Boland's Hot Dogs. They had some sort of power outage. Maybe somebody hit I don't know. Maybe somebody hit a pole. Maybe I don't know what it was. I read something, but I don't remember what I read there. So when the lights went out, I guess James Folds got off the gas and maybe on the brakes quicker than Nathan Wheat did. They were running there together, and I guess Nathan got into him. They had some words exchanged over on the back straightaway that we will not repeat here. I'm hoping that we'll get in-car footage of that, maybe that exchange. James Folds typically runs an in-car camera, so GoPro or whatever, and so maybe we'll get that. I'm not sure, but James Folds ended up getting his tire cut down. Him and Nathan got together after that. His tire got cut down.
Wonder why.
He got a ninth place finish, which sucks for him. He'd been doing really good. He'd been right there with those top two guys too.
Yeah. Apparently, he was the only one that checked up. Because the lights cut off, they was all coming out of four.
Yeah, when you watch,
not a single one of them checked up.
When you watch the video, he must have been the only one who checked up. Yeah, for sure.
Because they went past, and flag man, poor guy, he was trying to get the yellow out as fast as he could.
He's over here trying to blink the light. Well, there ain't no light.
Yeah, and they could. I don't know if they couldn't see him or because it was kind of at that point where you can kind of see, but it's
yeah, you could still see a little bit, but you couldn't see very good.
Yeah, they flew right by him. They slung him into one. I was like, are they going to slow down? And finally, once they came out of two, they were like, okay.
Yeah, we may finish this one with no lights. We made the most of the power outage, though, and I think it's only the second time I've ever been here, and I'm sure it's happened before, but it's the second time that I've ever been here when all the power went out.
Yeah.
During a race. That happened one time last year, which it was a lot longer. It was probably 15, 30 minutes before the power came back on.
Yeah.
Last year. because I remember I was on the phone with AEP, crying the blues. Man, I got to get this race in. You know what I mean? But I didn't have to do that this time. It came back pretty quick. The lights take quite a while. They're old and they take quite a while to come back up. So we switched gears, went to the Maggard Insurance Kids Gold Rush. Put the kids out there on the front straightaway, dumped out over $200 worth of coins, and let them go at it.
Yeah, I apologize for not being there for that. I was dealing with a situation on the backstretch. It was a very eventful power outage. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. I guess I went completely past that when we were talking about the stock fours because, I don't know. But anyway, so had maybe a punch thrown.
Punch or smack? I'm still.
Yeah, I don't
unsure.
know which is which.
The
I'm
lines
not
are getting
sure.
blurred.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I've had 37 different versions of the story of what happened.
Yeah.
First, it happened in one spot, then it happened in another spot, and then it went from this spot to this spot, which I think is the actual truth. I don't know, man.
I was getting text messages from upstairs in the tower, and they were telling me two people that were not even involved with each other, not fighting at all. They were like, they're fighting, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
And then it turned out, it was a whole mess. But I was dealing with that.
It was definitely a mess, and got some fines, suspensions, some probations, some different things coming down the pike for that this week. Probably won't publicly announce. I don't know if we'll publicly announce that or not. But we'll let the drivers and team members know that what's going on, and we'll go from there. Some things, I think passion happens. Okay.
Yeah.
I try to be more lenient when something happens and it's not terrible, but when you have a racial slur involved, I'm not for that in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And that right there is going to be the catalyst for how long suspensions and things are. So, anyways, we'll talk about that another time, I guess. I still have one version of it. Of this story I'd like to hear fully before I make a decision. So
right.
So I won't get into details there.
Gotta go to race court. Wait, that sounded wrong.
Well, in this instance,
race track court, not race court. Track court.
Let me tell you, I'll tell you a good one. Okay, so we're going down the road and we're discussing this, and I said something about racist, and my son Junior, he goes, "I'm not raceless."
Yeah, well, look.
Oh man,
if I had any cojones, Instagram. I saw a shirt on Instagram, and it was a picture of a race car that said, "I'm a racist." If I had any, I would. It's so funny, but you could never wear that.
Yeah. Well, doing these shirts with Race 22, and I've had some suggestions of things that we should have shirts from here from the Stock 4 race this past weekend, but that's hitting a little too close to home for me. I think I'll stay out of that one.
Look, can we take? Yeah, the hashtags are doing me wrong, man.
Yeah,
I don't like the hashtags. I was not involved. And now my name's on it.
Well, that's sometimes you get that through marriage.
I didn't marry her.
Lord Jesus, we better get off this subject before we go down a path we don't want to go down. Anyways, Grand National Super Series was here. They had 9 cars. Really good first race.
Yeah.
Isaac Kitzmiller got up there and took the lead. His dad, Jason Kitzmiller, tried to get around him. They got together over here in turn number 4. The son, he chopped him down pretty hard over here. And so Isaac ended up, taking home the victory. Jason finished second. A.J. Hendrickson was third. Man, Jeremy Mayfield, he continues to struggle here.
Yeah.
He won the last 2 races at Lonesome Pine. They come here, and he was hot garbage.
I didn't even see him.
Well, I'm not sure he wanted to be seen.
Yeah, I think he went straight in the holler right after that race.
Listen, I don't blame him at all. That was not the run that he was looking for, I'm sure, in either race.
Especially after what was it, a year ago, where he won both races of the night.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's car or if it's something with him, a different car. I don't know.
It's a different car, but they ain't got something ain't right.
Yeah.
You know, when they come here, I don't know what it is. They've dialed themselves out here, so
yeah.
I don't know exactly what it is. So second race of the night for the Grand National Super Series, the dad, Jason Kitzmiller, was not going to be denied when Isaac Kitzmiller was leading, and they got together this time. Man, they got together off of turn number 2, and he, showed him in his displeasure all the way down the back straightaway.
Yep, that was a little fatherly and son bonding time.
Yeah, I like when you interviewed him, the son, he tried to play it off a little bit, and when you got up there to him, and he said, well, I didn't start it, but I finished it.
Yep.
And he definitely finished it. I thought for sure that, the son's car, he had a tire rub after that. I thought for sure he was going to cut down a tire, but he didn't. He ended up finishing third. A.J. Hendrickson got a second-place finish in that one.
I don't know how, because he rubbed that wall pretty good.
He rubbed the car and the wall. He got sandwiched over there real good.
Yeah.
And, down the back straightaway, the wall kind of, leans out in spots back there, and that's not a good place to be getting into
just
the wall.
Enough to ruin your tire.
Just enough to destroy your night, for sure. So that was an interesting race there. But every time that was Grand National Series, I know a lot of people go, "Oh man, those are just old Cup cars, and they're kind of boring," and they're not.
I think that's the coolest part about them.
I do too, man. I do too.
It's like you never know where that chassis, that car could have been before it came here.
100%.
It could have been winning races at Martinsville or wherever with whoever driving them.
Right. And I mean, there's some cool cars. I hate that the Black 3, the Earnhardt car wasn't here this time. I hate that it wasn't here, but they had a good showing, and I know the guy that runs the series, Bob Shack, he races in it too in the red 75 car, and he probably hopes for a better run next time because he was terrible.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. So, but Bob's good people, and I'm sure I'm sure that series will be back here next year, and we'll see another couple good races.
Yeah, hopefully old Makefield can get her figured out by then.
Yeah. I don't know. I say to myself every year, I don't know how much longer he'll run that, but he seems to be having fun. Well, probably not here, but he's having fun when he races almost everywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you go from moving Dale Earnhardt out the way to Pocono to coming down here to Franklin County and running Grand National Series.
Yeah, but he's a humble dude. He's nice as can be.
He is. That's what I've said before. We get a lot of big name people that come through here.
Yep.
And some of them, they act like they're big name people, like they're better than everybody.
Yep.
Jeremy, he's the coolest dude I've talked to. He's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think, back 20 years ago, he was one of the most famous people in stock car racing, if not the most. Well, not the most, but
yeah, but
one of those guys.
But I will say, you said, some of the guys that come here, are not, but the overwhelming majority of them are.
Yeah, most of them are.
I mean, like Ryan Newman's a cool ass dude.
Yeah, he is.
Ryan Priest is cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bobby Labonte's pretty cool. I mean, he's a little more business-like, but he's still a cool dude. You know what I mean?
Well, when you're working for JGR, you kind of have to be.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. So, but I mean, these guys, and that's guys that have all been here this year, so those guys are cool. Last race of the night to talk about, the mini stocks. Man, who would have thought we'd have went from having, a 5 or 6 car field a few weeks ago to 14 cars started to race, and we had 16 here on the grounds.
That's what blew my mind. I mean, the Legends cars, they kind of seems like they either have a lot or a little.
Yeah, a lot or
nothing.
nothing.
The mini stocks have been pretty flat line. Well, not flat line, but
steady
to what they've had.
Yeah, 5, 6,
and
7.
then all of a sudden,
they basically doubled their field.
I don't know where all these guys came from, but
and the crazy thing about it was they doubled their field, and we were missing 3 or 4 different guys from the last race.
Yeah,
and 3 or 4 other guys who were planning on being here. I mean, we could have had a 20-car field here had everybody shown up Saturday. We could have had a 20-car field here fairly easily.
Yeah, that would have been nuts.
It would, and I'm gonna tell you, I feel like most of these guys are going to be back. I know some of them, have work on weekends and have different things going on, but I feel like most of these guys are going to be back. And then you got Kevin Light; he'll be here for this next race. He's a teammate to Wes Goff. He hasn't got to run yet. He's practiced and had some engine issues. So he'll be here, and Gary Fitzgerald's planning on being here for the next race. I talked to him through text today. And then, I'm hopefully Thomas Parmalee will be back, and there's just some other guys that have been in and out this year that hopefully they'll be here, and we could have another really great mini stock field.
Oh, I hope so. With old Fitzgerald coming back.
Yeah, that's always exciting.
It's going to be real fun to watch. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, Jason Campbell wasn't here either. That was another one. He couldn't get enough help and couldn't get here Saturday. So that's another guy. Man, there's so many, and I'm sure I'm forgetting 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I, could have, rattle off right off the top of my head here. Man, that was that race was interesting.
Yeah, it was.
And it seems like in the mini stocks here, for some reason, the more cars you have, the less cautions you have. I mean, I remember several years back, we had a field here of 21, 22, 23 cars and had 0 cautions.
Yeah.
I mean, the race was so good up front, didn't even have a competition caution. I mean, now this race, not as good, man. Scott Foley, who had been having tremendous problems, he jumped out to quite a bit of a lead there. Despite the fact that he got squeezed by Kent Chrisley over here on the front straightaway, nearly had a big calamity there, and then he had to avoid 2 other cars over here in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He split them. They were lap cars, and they just kind of went like this and parted the seas, and he's navigating himself around, and so he saved himself twice there.
I was happy for him.
Oh, 100%.
I thought he was going to get it done there for a while, and I was like, yeah, this would be great for him. What a way to, bounce back after he's had some of the – I think him and Chris Amos are tied for probably the worst luck this past year, and I thought he was going to get it done. But
yeah. Well, had it been a 23-lap race, he would have.
Yep.
Unfortunately, his car started sounding really bad coming to the line for lap 23, and by the time they got to the back straightaway, Dennis said that he was so focused, and I know you didn't see this. I don't know if you saw it on the video or not, but Dennis said that he was so focused on the next lap car because lap cars were playing such a role in this race. He said he was so focused on the next lap car that he didn't really pay attention to what Scott was doing, and he didn't realize that Scott was slowing down. So when Scott pulls down and slows down, Dennis just gets right behind him, lifts him up. I mean, it was wild.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it was wild. Dennis Holdren falling into another victory. Dude's got a horseshoe, man.
He does.
I mean, so the first race of the year, he dominates, basically. Good. Since then, he's won either 4 or 5 races, and he's fallen into them. The 46 and 27, Josh Phillips and Stonewall Nicely, they crash while leading. Opens the way for victory. Wes Givens is dominating the race. Car cuts off, gives him the victory. I don't remember the next one, but then here we go. Scott Foley dominates the race. 2 laps to go. Gone.
Yeah, and I don't know what I don't know what anybody else has got to do to get their things to run right. It seems like that's been the plight of these mini stocks.
And the crazy thing is, Dennis's luck when he's not been here has either been just like it is here or the complete opposite.
Yeah.
He goes to Tri-County. He's got the motor in that he'd been running here. He blows it up. Well, he just picked up a brand new motor from A.J. Sanders. They get 2 laps into practice or into the race, whichever it was. Bam, gone. So now he went to Kingsport, on the other hand, a few weeks back. The 2 leaders wrecked, falls into the wind at Kingsport.
I tell you what, if I bought a motor and then 2 laps later it blew up, that's the day I'm retired.
Listen,
I'm going to cry in my trailer for a little while.
Unfortunately, in racing, that happens way too often.
Well,
and there's just so many mechanical things.
You've heard with all them mini stock guys, everybody online calls them the little grenades.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Those poor 4-cylinders are screaming for help. They got too much power than they can handle.
Well, yeah. Ford didn't build them to do what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know if that was in the plans when they rolled it out.
No, definitely not. It was definitely not that. So, anyways, Dennis Holdren inherits the win, comes home with the victory. Josh Phillips, man, what a time! He won the last race that had how many other cars? 7 cars in it, maybe 7, 8 cars.
I'm trying to remember
whatever it was. It was a good field for us, but it wasn't huge.
Yeah, it wasn't huge.
So he wins that race, and, we have the rule, start in the rear. Well, he had to start in the rear of a 14-car field. Everybody else has had to start behind 5 cars.
Yeah.
But he did make it to second, finished second on the night. Nathan Wheat running Dennis Holdren's other car, which they call a turd. They just have not been able to get it to run right. They've not been able to get it to turn right. Somehow Nathan, ends up finishing third in that thing. A good run for him.
Well, Wes was running up front too, and his car started doing the same thing. And that's when everybody kind of moved up a spot.
Oh yeah. Well, that helped them. And Stonewall spun out on the back straightaway. That helped. Kind of that's the finish of the race sometimes isn't indicative of how the race went.
Yeah.
And in this race, that was certainly the case. Kind of toward the end of this race, there was a lot of attrition. We didn't have but 2 cautions, and they weren't both competition cautions. One was a competition caution around lap 10, I believe, and then later on in the race, I think with 5 or 6 to go, Stonewall nicely spun on the back straightaway. I think Scott Foley thought that it was, both competition cautions. And man, I'm going to tell you, when you're racing and you don't know what it is, I guarantee you're frustrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can, and especially when your night goes south right at the end, man, that frustration just mounts. And for him, the way the rest of his season has went, all that frustration's already there. And he's finally thinking he's going to get the monkey off of his back. And then, so I understand the frustration.
Stonewall must have flipped that car back around very fast because none of us on the front knew what was going on.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm up here on the top, but I wasn't up in the tower, so I couldn't see announcing. So I'm down there. I don't know what this caution is for. So I'm looking around.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that it's not a competition caution because we typically only have one, and it wasn't. I got a text on my phone that said 27 spun around on the backstretch. Oh, okay. Well, and by that time I see him turning, around. So it was pretty quick for sure. Stonewall got back to a 6th place finish. Scott Foley managed to limp his car home to 5th. Jeff Martin had finished 4th. Shane Hodges got a good run, his 2nd race, and 7th. And shout out to those guys in the front wheel drives. For the most part, they did a great job. Right now, the front wheel drives that we have, they're not like Jason Garwood's. They're not quite built to that level.
Yeah.
Or they'd be side by side with these mini stocks, right? But these guys, put in a great effort. Kent Chrisley and Chris Amos and Robert Persinger and J.C. Morgan. They all put in a great effort to try to stay out of the way. Kent, like I said earlier, got into Scott Foley just a little bit, but man, once that happened, he stayed out of the way completely.
I noticed on that when I was watching the video just a few minutes ago, on the last restart, they all kind of held back, but were nose to tail and side by side with each other, like they were like, "Let's have our own race."
Yeah, they were in their own.
Let's have our own race back here
for sure. And I wish I wish if we had a division for them, man. I wish there was enough cars. You take away those 4, you're down to 10 mini stocks, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Anytime you get to the double digits at any racetrack anywhere, that's a good night.
Yeah.
And I think if we had another division for them, if they had 5 or 6 more, we probably could do that. But they just don't exist at the moment.
Yeah, there's not a lot of U cars or things like that hanging around here.
I'm thinking about I need to talk to these guys, make sure they're going to be here on one of the next upcoming races, and maybe they have their own little race within a race. So the front wheel drives get their own trophy and own victory out of the deal.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think so. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you gotta work with what you got, and I appreciate them guys being here. I know it's probably tough when you're getting lapped every couple laps, because those mini stocks are just so screaming fast, and those guys, heck, I believe a couple of them, they just got bone stock engines. I mean, it's hard to compete with what those mini stocks are.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, anything else I'm not thinking about? We're not talking about the fan exchange up here. We're not going to discuss that.
We can leave that out.
But it got a little rowdy all around this place Saturday night, and it was honestly, the crowd was into it. It wasn't the biggest crowd of the year, but the crowd was into everything going on. The pits was fairly electric and full, and it was a good night, man.
It was a surprisingly good night.
Well,
I wouldn't have expected it to be that action-packed and that many mini stocks, and I wasn't expecting that.
About Thursday, I started counting up in my head people I had to talk to. And, even some of them didn't show up, but I started counting in my head. I was like, well, we're going to have at least 12 mini stocks. And I think we're going to have 9 legends, which we ended up with 11. So, we come out better there. And we were missing 2 of the ones that was in my 9.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, man, we're going to have some decent fields here. I said if the Grand Nationals get close to 10, which they did, they were expecting another guy from West Virginia, I think, to be here that didn't make it. So, I mean, they were expecting 10, 11 cars. They ended up with 9. And in all of our divisions, except for any car, ended up with more cars than we thought was going to have.
Yeah.
Stock 4 was... okay. It was. I mean, the great racing, but car count was, a little lower than the last race, which is okay. I mean, that happens. You fluctuate there. But man, what a good night of racing. I think everybody went away from here going, dang, that was a great night of racing.
Yeah, a few people didn't, but
well, yeah, well,
I thought so anyway. I thought it was a great night.
I mean, overall, man. I think every fan that I talked to was like, man, what a great show. Yeah. I mean, and I've seen 2 or 3 fans that don't make it every race that go, man, we picked a good one to come to.
Yeah.
And I've seen one fan who, chose to go to another race Saturday, and I think they probably regret their decision because there was a great race here.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I never expected that good of a night.
Yeah.
And, I mean, forget car counts, just that good of racing.
Yeah, 100%.
In every single race, like you said, I mean, except for any car. But
yeah. Well, typically every week the stock 4s are really good.
Yeah.
And they kind of outshine everybody. But to be honest with you, this week, they didn't outshine anybody.
I think I got to hand it to the mini stocks.
Listen, the mini stocks and the legends put on a great show. The mini stocks, I'm telling you, man, when you can go a race with only one legit caution in the entire race with 14 cars on the track and at the different speeds that they were running, I mean, holy smokes, man, was that a good effort by all of those guys.
Well, you had 3 of the top 5 cars with 2 laps to go did not finish in the top 5. I mean, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, but that's, you have races like that. And, honestly, if it had been a 30-lap race, I think Josh Phillips might have got up there and stole that win away.
Yeah, he might have. He was coming.
He was. He put in a yeoman's effort. I'm sitting here Saturday when that happens. When I'm thinking about him starting in the rear, I was like, man, that wasn't the intention of this rule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The intention of this rule was for it to be somewhat equal. He probably should have started about 8th. Yeah. You know what I mean? In fairness, and I may need to, think about rewriting that rule for the next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in case a bunch of cars show up.
But of course, Josh Phillips is probably thinking to himself when he listens to this, he's probably going to be thinking, well, don't fix it now. Don't let Dennis Holdren start 8th. Yeah. I had to start 14th. Let him start 14th.
Well, I mean, that's the way it goes sometimes.
It does.
Life ain't fair.
I get it. But I mean, I think we're on a good path right now to have, like I said about the mini stocks the next race, I feel like we're going to have a good car count again. And I feel like the legends should be, pretty good this next race. They may show up and have 3 this next one. I don't know. But late model wise, I think we could have another good show here. I believe Kyle Dudley and Kyle Barnes, and Barnes brought 3 cars last time, so that's 4. Dakota Walls will be back. Tyler Ashley will have his car here, but Josh Phillips will be making his late model debut in that car coming up the next race. Matt Lawrence, I haven't talked to him, but I assume they'll be here. They're the points leader. I know they got tore up, but I assume they'll be here. And then I'm trying to think back of who was here the last race. Bobby Gillespie, he's still here.
Oh, is that him? He's still here?
His trailer's still here. He called me on Friday. He said, you think I need to move that? I said, I think we'll be all right.
You're ready to go.
Probably should have moved it, you know what I mean? But, it happens. But, I mean, I think we could have another good late model field. Wes Thomason, hopefully he's back.
Yeah.
Run another race. He's always entertaining, on and off the track. Good racer. And Landon Nestor, I believe he'll have his new car back, I believe, for this next race. Drew Bond messaged me the other day. Hopefully he'll be back for this race. I think we could have 10, 11 late models.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, that'd be a great field for us. Great field for the fans.
I think it's a great field for anybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody except for the Cars Tour. That's kind of the state of late models.
Listen, man, somebody the other day, they were giving me hell about my late model fields, and I said, you realize that Hickory's like averaging 5 cars, right? Hickory. Like the most well-known racetrack in this region. Yeah. Outside of Bowman Gray. Is averaging 5 late models, okay? That basically every week you turn on Flow, they got 5 late models. Yeah. And I'm not bad-mouthing them. That's the struggles of things right now.
It's just the state of what we're in.
It is, man. It is. I mean, and you got a few tracks that are highlights, every week that have good car counts. Langley Speedway and Tri-County, and they got good car counts every week. And, shout out to them. Whatever they're doing, it's working, and it's working really well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll tell you something else, something I wanted to point out, too, and I don't know if you've seen it or not. Have you seen the new Newport Speedway? Where they've been.
I've been seeing pictures, and
holy smokes,
it's been popping up for months. As I can't remember the guy's name, but whoever's in charge of that whole
Chuck
thing,
Ward,
who's been working on it,
yes.
and he's been showing the progress,
Yep.
and it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, he's a real estate guy, and he usually flips things to sell them. Well, he's flipping this one to make a great racetrack out of the place. And it's always been a great racetrack. It's 0.3 of a mile, so it's smaller than this place, got more banking than this place. It's a wild place to go watch a race.
Oh, it looks from the pictures like it's an awesome place.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to go catch a race.
So it's going to be cool, with them, them coming back, next. I'm sure they're going to run a race before this year's over with, but they'll be coming back next year. Rumor out there, Motor Mile Speedway or Pulaski County Motorsports Park going to open back up next year. Those are good things. I put out on Race 22, I put out the Save Our Short Tracks, T-shirt today. Man, it's either feast or famine for short tracks right now. We're losing something like Greenville Pickens. I'm doubtful that's going to make a comeback. For what they want for the property, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, that's a sad one.
Some industrial park, probably going to be sitting there before long, But, then you got Newport, making a comeback after being closed for like the last 3 or 4 years. Motor Mile being shut down for a year and, looking like the county's going to help, bring that place back next year. Racing's, we talk about it all the time. Racing's not in the greatest spot, but it's not in the worst spot either.
No, it's not. And what I was talking to Josh just earlier today about this, and it's people think it's like a big competition thing between tracks like Walmart and Target type.
Yeah.
And it's not like that. What's good for one, and the more there is, it's better for everybody. And it just brings – the more tracks there are, the more people you're going to have racing, the more fans you're going to have, and just it's better for everybody if tracks like Newport and Pulaski County, they keep it going. It's unfortunate what's happened to such a legendary and historic track like Greenville Pickens.
Yeah.
But,
and sometimes people, like Motor Mile's close to us. It's 50 minutes from here.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people, they'll go, well, that's good for, Franklin County that it's not open. But it's not. A rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah.
And if they're good, we're good. And if we're good, they're good. I mean, it helps everybody. I mean, it's like this year. I mean, there's some people that race up there full time that would make, one-off starts here, from time to time. Well, with them not open, they're kind of like not racing, and so they're not here on their, every once in a while. And there's people who race here with us full time that go up there every now and then.
Yeah.
So that definitely helps, and looks like next year, in this region will be a little bit better year, for the racing world.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Hopefully it will be.
Yep, for sure. Anything else from the weekend that you, whether here or, anything you seen racing-wise anywhere you want to talk about?
Other than here, I didn't really watch no racing.
Yeah, I got you.
I couldn't even tell you where NASCAR was at.
Well, NASCAR's off for 2 weeks for the Olympics.
There you go.
But, I can still tell that your cheap ass hasn't bought a Flow subscription.
Still looking for a sponsor for that.
Jesus, man. Oh, Lord.
I was going to do it the last time not the last time, but and then I saw they went up on their prices.
Oh, my God.
That ruined it.
It don't matter, man. That thing's worth, honestly, from a race fan standpoint, it's probably worth $500 a year, realistically.
Yeah, from your standpoint, not from my standpoint.
Listen, once you get on there, it'll be from your standpoint.
It's only worth what somebody's willing to pay. I give them about $12.
Well, everybody but your cheap ass is willing to pay for it.
Okay, well, that's the way it's got to be. I'll continue to watch things on Stream East and other illegal streaming platforms that put horrible viruses on my phone.
Well, I mean, you probably do a lot of things that put horrible viruses on your phone.
One of them I watched a UFC fight on. It was some weird a weird page, and it somehow got into the calendar of my phone. So every hour there was an alarm going off, and of course it was horribly, inappropriate ads, because that's what they all are for some reason.
That was probably because you were watching midget porn. Okay,
hot singles in my area.
Jesus, man!
I was like, Lord, now my calendar's ruined on my phone. So I don't know what. I don't know how to get around that, but
yeah, now you'll have that.
So yeah, somebody sponsor me, save me from hot singles in my area in my calendar, please.
Wow. I don't even know where to go from there.
Nowhere.
I think we should probably wrap this up. Hey, let's talk about the next race before we wrap it up, though. You got the Buster Carroll Memorial coming up, the Daniels Auto Glass Buster Carroll Memorial coming up next, August 10th. Like I said, earlier talking about car counts, man, I feel like this next race is probably going to have a good one. Yeah.
Well, I think, as it's kind of shown, giving people a little bit more time off. I mean, it's good and it's bad, but it seems like mostly good with as far as car counts go. It helps more people get out here.
Yeah, and hopefully, this one's a 2-week break. Hopefully, the car counts are good, and we can, continue down the same path that we got on the schedule right now. Because we got 4 or 5 races coming up here between now and September 21st, the Hex Haunted Attraction Championship night.
Yeah.
So hopefully, playoffs. Did I mention playoffs?
Have we talked about that this next race is the last one.
Yep, this is the cutoff race for the playoffs, and then the playoffs start on August 24th. So that's going to be an interesting one. Playoffs going to be a couple. Let's see, playoffs will go 2 races for the playoffs, and then you go into championship night. Going to be interesting.
I'm looking forward to it. It might get a little rough and rowdy around here.
And I don't, championship night has the potential to be, especially in the divisions in which, the cars are tight and competitive anyways that are going to be going for it.
Yeah.
Especially like the Stock 4 division. There's 5 or 6 guys who could be, the champion. Only 3 of them is going to get a chance to be the champion on final night.
I think championship night here in the Stock 4 division, look, a Madhouse ain't got nothing on that.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
I'd like to keep that from spilling over, just get it all undone on the track. Let's not.
Well, yeah, one would hope.
Let's not take it to pit road and, the backside and during power outages and the like. So,
Yeah,
we'll
you heard it here first. Only do it when the power is on. And do it on the front stretch where everybody can see.
Yeah, or just don't do it at all.
That too.
That would be the most optimal thing to have happen. So, anyways, August 10th, Buster Carroll Memorial. We'll be back then. We'll be back next week with another episode. I've got a guest lined up. Fingers crossed they show up. I've had a few this year that have had some other things going on, but hopefully I got a good guest lined up for next week, I believe, and we'll be back then. So we're out.
Buck wild.
You got told to stop saying that at the end of the show this past weekend.
I don't even remember that.
Oh yeah, I bet you I had 10 people in the pit say, tell Noah not to say Buck wild at the end of the show.
Bing bong.